Hey VetFolio Voice family, welcome back to this episode sponsored by Greenies and featuring Dr. Matt Panasevich and Dr. Tiffany Bierer. Let me propose a hypothetical and see if you can relate. You're in an exam room, maybe for a wellness appointment, and you ask the owner what kind of food they feed their pet. There's this look of consternation followed by, I think it's in a blue bag, and you gently inform them that there are lots of blue bags out there and you're not familiar with all the blue bags. So next thing, the phone comes out and owners are scrolling through their last online order trying to figure out what the heck the food they feed their pet is called. Finally, they bring up a picture of this blue bag, and it's a food you've never heard of before. You don't really have a familiarity or a comfort level with it. There's no particular data you're aware of associated with that diet or resources to learn more about it. With the huge variety of over-the-counter pet foods that are available, I feel like I see this fairly commonly. There's so many options, it's almost impossible to be familiar with all of them. So I always get this feeling of relief when an owner does list a food that I'm familiar with, that I have a comfort level with, and that I know is a good food for their pet. Well, in this episode, we talk about a new over-the-counter diet option from a company we are familiar with and comfortable with for products like dental chews and pill pockets, none other than Greenies. Let's go ahead and hop into our episode. Tiffany and Matt, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited to learn about this new line of dog food from Greenies. I know this is a brand that many of us are familiar with, and a question that we get asked a lot in the exam room of, what kind of foods are out there and, advice as far as what to feed pets. So tell us a little bit more about it.
Absolutely. Well, first off, thank you for having us on your podcast. Really excited to talk about this new launch. And as you mentioned, people might be familiar with the Greenies products, in particular with dental chews and pill pockets. In particular, from the dental chews having dental benefits and VOHC accreditation, and pill pockets as being a trusted brand for delivery of medications. And through these products on the market being longer and having that recognition from veterinarians, looking to expand into other offerings, like we have now supplements out, kind of taking this approach from veterinary recognition to help launch in these other brands like a main meal. So the launch of this type of product or these group of products is similar. And although many of the patients that veterinarians see may see sick pets and are often guided towards choices on clinical signs and veterinary prescribed diets, we know that most pets are healthy, and many different consumers have ways at which they want to optimize health and wellness towards their pets through diet. So the approach is really, I think, the key part of these diets and development of them. We consulted internal veterinary nutritionists to review our formulation and our strategy toward nutritional quality. And we wanted to have that nutritional quality control over these diets and basically provide, we know that diet history is important for veterinarians to understand what their patients are on. So giving some awareness of a new launch like this, even that they are adult maintenance diets that want to provide awareness and some education around this launch as we expand the Greenies brand.
Just to add on to that too, Matt's talked about this kind of that science background that was there in the development of these dog foods from the Greenies brand. But adding on top of that is, if you fed Greenies, you know how enjoyable they are and how much dogs enjoy them, getting them on a daily basis. And, we wanted to take that enjoyment too, as well as the science, and build it into this brand so that you have, a whole portfolio of products now for main meal that are not only, backed by science and nutritional quality, but are also really enjoyable for the dog while they're eating.
Absolutely. I think that's really important. I mean, we think of food in terms of the human animal bond so much. And sure, Matt, to your point that we do see a lot of sick animals and have to make therapeutic nutritional recommendations. But, many of us, we see a lot of healthy animals too, which is, it's always an exciting day when we get more healthy animals than sick animals. And so having an option out there that, really kind of balances the science with that enjoyment so we can feel comfortable that these pets are eating good balanced diet that is appropriate for them, but also the owners enjoy feeding them. I think it all comes together. It's all important.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
I was gonna one other aspect of that is you think about the field of main meal diets and how many different options are out there, and I think it is good for the veterinarians, clinicians to have diet history is part of what they ask for from their clients. I think having that information and having this opportunity to provide information about a new launch like this is something that I think the Greenies brand is about. So to help serve the veterinary community.
And I think that makes a lot of sense because I can't tell you how many times I've been in an exam room and said, okay, what are you feeding? And, then we pull out the phone and we're oh, well, I would have known if you hadn't asked me, and we have to look it up. And
Yep.
then they finally, bring up the food and we look at it and it's something that, I've really never heard of, and kind of left with, well, are they doing well on it? Does it meet the basic nutritional tenets that we're looking
Absolutely.
for? So exactly what you're saying, having information about a diet to where if an owner pulls up this diet to say, okay, I am aware of that, I am familiar with that diet, is, it kind of can give you a lot of peace of mind.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Well, you mentioned the joy of eating, Greenies products and this diet as well. Aside from creating a diet that pets really love to eat and by default owners like to feed, what were some of the other motivations behind creating this product line?
If I had to choose really, what is behind this line, and I think first is doing it, and Dr. Tiffany brought up before, doing it in a science-backed way. Because really, if you think about the other Greenies products, that is really how they were developed. And really first kind of focusing on some of the areas in the benefit space areas that are probably most pertinent to dogs' need. And so you'll see often on these diets the 6 health spaces that are often focused on: teeth, muscles, including heart, digestion, immune system, bones and joints, and skin and coat. Our formulations are targeted to help support those areas. And then I'd say the other way is also appealing to what pet owners all are may want. So these also are no corn, wheat, soy, or chicken byproduct meals, real chicken first as the first ingredient, and no artificial preservatives, colors, or flavors. So it's bringing the science brand under that ingredient philosophy is really what the aim of this line is.
Tiffany, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that's a really good kind of summary of what motivated these diets, and those 6 vital areas are kind of that key, because they're really areas that are necessary for, no matter what life stage your pet is in, right? Those are very key elements to making sure that your pets are nutritionally healthy and getting everything that they need to really thrive in everyday life.
And I want to address a little bit of what you said because I think it's important that you mentioned avoiding, corn, wheat, and soy and chicken as the number one ingredient. Of course, as veterinarians, we know that corn can offer a great amino acid profile for dogs, and done correctly, it can be a really good nutrition source. But the fact is that there's some owners who just really are not comfortable feeding it. They say, no, it doesn't feel right in my gut, no pun intended, to feed that. And, and like we mentioned before, this is a really big part of the human animal bond. So making sure they're comfortable with what they're feeding is important. And if we can do that, as you've talked about here, in a way that's science backed, that we can feel comfortable is healthy for the pet, then, hopefully kind of everybody wins. The pet is eating a good diet. The owner feels comfortable feeding it. So hopefully we have a healthy pet there at the end.
I think that's a really good point too, because even from a nutritionist point of view, corn absolutely provides really great nutrients, soy, wheat, chicken byproduct meal, they all provide really good nutrients. But, what these diet portfolios really do is give the option for those owners. And there's a lot of them out there who don't believe it's the right thing for their pet, or they just, don't want that in their diet. So this gives them a really good way to deliver, the nutrients with ingredients that they really believe in kind of that natural ingredient type of diet.
So if we think of different dog foods, for example, if we went into PetSmart or something like that, and we're walking down the aisle, there's a lot that'll say, no corn, wheat, and soy, and make a lot of claims. What makes this Greenies diet stand out amongst all the other brands that we might see if we went into a store?
Great question. And there are so many options and varieties of diets out there. Particularly, this one is going to be new to the market, and absolutely within that realm of natural, the no-nos that you brought about, and also from a science-backed approach. What I think what I'd like to, I guess, portray in terms of this brand is really the approach, the brand recognition and trust behind Greenies, and taking that approach to a diet like this, that intention on nutritional quality through our internal nutrition standards reviewed by veterinary nutritionists in that science-backed approach. I can't necessarily speak to what others or internal companies may be working on or their approach to that, but I think showing how our approach to nutrition is important for this type of launch. So I think really having that reinforcement towards nutritional quality and letting clinicians know about these launches and what they could offer, I think is unique for this launch.
Just to reiterate a little bit on what Matt's saying is Greenies, I've been with the business quite a while, and especially with Greenies. So Greenies is kind of at my heart. Greenies as a brand has such a strong science background, right? With the development of their chews that are really great for health and for dental health, and are supported by the VOHC, and then with the supplements that are also backed in science. I think that puts us in a very kind of unique space compared to other diets where we have this really strong science background, and now we're going into pet food, into main meal. So that kind of makes these kind of really stand out because of that real strong science background that we're walking into them with. It was a great opportunity for us to use all that, as well as that, like I mentioned before, that enjoyment to really build these main meal diets for consumers and their pets.
Thinking of the diets that are out there, we certainly have, there's so many out there where we're like, okay, well, this is a good one, try this and try that. And, we have these stubborn pets who are just like, no, I'm not going to eat that no matter what you recommend. So
Yep.
having as many options as possible, especially science-backed, that many pets will enjoy eating, the more options that we can offer and the more that we're familiar with as veterinarians to say, yes, I know that product, I'm comfortable with you feeding that, the better it is for our patients.
Yeah, I totally agree on that.
Yeah, and I think especially in this space, to Tiffany's point, the brand equity in terms of the science aspect, bringing up the dental benefits around the vigor of going through VOHC, using that base and that approach to the R&D process to expand offerings is really, I think, makes this brand stand out as we go into it. You're correct. There's other natural, no corn, no wheat, no soy type of products out there. But certainly, I mean, having this history and initial work behind this brand, I think is something that's unique.
Yeah, and then being able to, capitalize on all that nutritional expertise that a lot of our folks in the business have to be able to build those diets. It's just such a unique experience, I think, to be able to build the right kind of main meal diets right from the start.
Absolutely. And so let's dive into that science a little bit more. Earlier, you mentioned the diet benefiting 6 vital systems. So can we talk about those again? And can you elaborate a little bit more on how this diet would impact those systems?
Absolutely. So when we talk about those vital 6, those are going to be featured on each one of our diets. They are a little tailored differently for two of the special diets like puppy and sensitive skin and digestion. But overall, all diets are going to have a unique kibble shape and the crunchy kibble texture to help against plaque buildup. Guaranteed live probiotics from Bacillus subtilis that are guaranteed on all diets. In terms of amino acid balance and from high quality protein sources for strong muscles and heart. inclusion of prebiotic fibers like beet pulp that are going to support microbiota and support optimal stool quality in every diet. In terms of antioxidants, like vitamin E and selenium are standard across all these diets for immune support, as well as contraprotectant components from natural sources like chicken meal for glucosamine and chondroitin, as well as essential nutrients to support joint and bone health. And each one has a omega-6 to 3 fatty acid ratio that is going to help support skin and coat. Now, I brought up specifically some deviations or specifically for puppy and for sensitive skin and coat. We have added DHA for cognitive support for our puppy diet and for sensitive digestion in terms of in reference to our other diets has a greater dry matter and protein nutrient digestibility, as well as a fatty acid ratio that's clinically proven to support skin and coat health. All of those are going to have that intention towards those 6 benefits in all of these diets.
Well, all of that sounds really important. I love that you bring up the omega-3 to 6 ratio. That's a conversation I feel like I have on a fairly regular basis. Something that's really important. And I did want to clarify, we talked about no corn, wheat, or soy, but we're not talking about a grain-free diet. Is that correct?
Correct.
I know that makes me feel a little bit more warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah, no, it's not about being grain-free.
But appealing to the population that wants to feed a more limited ingredient and is not comfortable with these ingredients, making sure that they're able to feed this limited ingredient diet in a safe way.
One of the things I actually would like to add, and you brought up limited ingredient, it maybe in the classical sense of limited ingredient diet, this isn't that line. In terms of, for instance, like skin and coat, and I know maybe many clinicians, veterinarians are going to see patients that may have suspected food allergies and get put onto specifically an allergy-based type of diet that might be hydrolyzed or novel protein. This one specifically is maybe patients, they might be healthy, they just have food sensitivities. So that is a lamb first diet. It isn't chicken free in terms of no of those common food allergies, but patients, they aren't diagnosed with food allergies or those, they just have food sensitivities. This might be a good option for them for digestion, for skin and coat.
Yeah, and I think the other benefit in that sensitive diet within the range is that the digestibility is a little bit higher than the other diets as well. Because when you have a sensitive dog with sensitive digestion, what you want to be able to do is give them a diet that's very easy digested, right? So that they're getting all the nutrition they need with a little less effort to digest it, to kind of calm down that digestive tract. So that's what you get with that sensitive diet, is something that's a little more highly digestible than others. Everything is really highly digestible, but that sensitive one is even more so, to really help with those sensitive dogs.
And that sounds great, because I feel like oftentimes we do see, when we talk about a sensitive patient, skin and GI can oftentimes go hand in hand. So to be able to, kind of touch both of those areas, especially if we're talking about a patient who, maybe doesn't need to have a prescription diet or something like that, just, needs some modification, something that addresses both of those areas, sounds like
Just
it
gets
could
a
be
little
really
upset
beneficial.
tummy here or there, right?
Well, we've talked a lot about the science backing, which I know, as a veterinarian, makes me feel better knowing that pet owners are feeding this. What about talking to pet owners? How would you explain this diet to them? Oftentimes we're asked for recommendations in the exam room, and I find, or at least I feel like, a lot of pet owners are looking for options. They want some information on different diets, and then they are going to go do some research and decide what they'd like to feed. So what sort of information do you feel like it's important to convey when we're having those conversations?
I mean, it's a very good question, because one of the things we find, even when launch of supplements, is many consumers do look at brand recognition as as that first indicator of how to guide towards their choices. And we've talked about in a couple other questions is, yes, there is some brand recognition from the dental side, from the dental treat side, from the pill pocket side, that consumers do trust. And I think understanding if pet owners are looking for an option and for a recommendation, looking at these diets and saying, oh, well, I recognize them from that. They have an offering for adult in different breed sizes. It does fit within their maybe nutrition philosophy that we talked about, that maybe they are looking for diets in that realm that are natural, no corn, no wheat, no soy, but still have science backing. I think taking your patients and saying, hey, this may be a good option that your pet might be wanting. And I think having this opportunity to tell the vets and understanding our philosophy and how we develop these through the R&D process by having it reviewed by our internal experts, I think should help give trust to consumers that this could be an option for them.
You're spot on, Matt. I think having all those nutritionists and the veterinary nutritionists that are helping with this diet and the development and review of it, I think really tells people that, you know, that brand that they've really trusted, that Greenies brand, that they know is going to deliver that benefit. It's not just about, you know, words that we're speaking. They know that Greenies brand really does deliver those benefits, that now, you know, you can find that same kind of guarantee that we're going to deliver that nutritional benefit in these main meal diets. And I think that's something that's important for the consumers, just to really be able to trust that, you know, we're going to give them something that's going to deliver on what we're saying and is really going to be a benefit to the pets that they're feeding, you know, their family members.
Absolutely. And talking about brand recognition when it comes to greenies, you know, there are so many pet owners who, when you say, you know, okay, have you tried dental treats? They'll absolutely bring up greenies. And, you know, you mentioned kind of the rigor of going through getting approved by VOHC. So, you know, saying we've gone the distance before, you know, we're doing it again to give you this option.
It's becoming more in these other options, in these, you know, other food formats, like for supplements, for main meal. We didn't talk about toppers too much yet, but it's kind of the combination of these. There's different products, but the approach to the development of these is very, very similar.
And you mentioned the toppers. Do you want to talk about the toppers a little bit? I'm thinking of like a kibble-based dog food, but I'm interested in toppers.
Yeah, yes. So the main meal diets we're talking about are the Smart Essentials, but in terms of a complement to that, there is the Smart Topper, that is a Vita broth made with natural ingredients plus vitamins E and B1. Come in different varieties from chicken, beef, and duck. Good as a tasty mix in for a topper for taste, or even just as a snack. So kind of just help with that palatability aspect as well, and enjoyment.
Yeah, if you look at them, they're really I love these products, right? They're called Smart Toppers. And it is Vita broth. It's a bone broth, right? And then you have these natural ingredients in there. So you have chicken, beef, or duck is the first ingredient in there. You have your green vegetables. Some are green, have no greens in them, some have greens in them. So there's a lot of variety of the different kind of mix of ingredients that you have in there. And then that vitamins E and B1 are kind of added in there too for that Vita broth. And I love these as a great complement for introducing variety into your dog's diet, because there's all these different kinds of combinations of ingredients you can give them, the real ingredients that you can really see. And it does provide a kind of that boost of palatability. So if you want to feed them with the diet, or you want to feed them as a treat separately, I think it just gives a lot of options on how you use them to enhance your dog's overall diet and enjoyment throughout the day.
Well, I'm really excited to hear about the toppers because, gosh, it
Yeah,
takes me
you'll
back
love them.
to, yes, I know, I know I will, because it takes me back to like when I very first got into the veterinary field. I got my very first dog, Samson. He was a Rottweiler. He was a mess. I loved him so much. He was a terrible dog, but gosh, still miss him. But I remember there was this topper that I would get for him, and I would put it on his food and he loved it. And then it went away. And I've not been able to find a similar product since. And in all fairness, I haven't looked that hard. I'm sure they're out there. But I used to have so much fun like putting that on his food because he would get so excited. And we're talking about human animal bond and kind of the fun of feeding your pets and things like that. So yes, I love the idea of having these toppers out there.
Well, now you won't have to look too hard because you'll know exactly where to find them.
There we go.
Exactly.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, we've talked about, Greenies being a brand. There's a lot of recognition there. So can you remind us of some of the other products from Greenies besides maybe the dental chews that we've talked about that we might already be familiar with?
Absolutely. So talked about the dental chews a bit. And here we had Smart Essentials, Smart Topper. Mentioned a little bit about supplements. Greenies launched a variety of supplements. Two that are centered around digestion. One was a probiotic powder, Bifidobacterium animales, HC7, clinically proven to support digestive health, as well as a digestive chew that has a combination of that pre, pro, and postbiotics, as well as skin and coat support supplement, a hip and joint supplement, and calming supplement.
Don't forget about pill pockets, man, because
Yeah, I was going on there.
those to me are so important because they've saved me on countless occasions.
Yes, and obviously, I mean, we did focus a lot on because of the dental benefits from the dental bones, but absolutely, from when it comes to pill pockets, veterinarians have recognized pill pockets as a preferred way of administering medications, and certainly has brand recognition from pill pockets as well. And they're very palatable, which obviously makes the pill delivering experience much more enjoyable.
That is the truth. Like you said, those pill pockets, man, they will save you.
Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. And, we've
And they'll
talked a
save
lot about
us
dog
when we're trying to prescribe medications.
Well, and making sure that you have owner compliance, right, when you're giving
Yes.
medications, because I know compliance is a huge problem, especially when you have owners that have trouble. We've talked a lot about dog here, but cats too on pill pockets and even on Greenies Dental. But they're really important there because it is really hard, difficult in some pets to give a pill, and there's a lot of different ways to give a pill, and pill pockets just provide such an easy way to do it in something that's healthier for them, right, than giving a lot of calories and fat in things like cheese or hot dog that a lot of people use. This is a much healthier way to do it.
Yes. And we've talked about the VOHC approval, but I did a little Google searching here while we were just talking. And
Uh-oh.
also NASC, I'm seeing on
Oh,
some of the
yes.
products.
Yes.
So I don't know if you guys want to mention that one too.
So, in terms of, and specifically for supplements, National Animal Supplements Council, in terms of ingredients used, we only get from suppliers that are NASC approved, and we are a part of NASC. So that's just our commitment in terms of quality and safety in terms of the suppliers that we're using, because we want to use ingredients that are safe and from trusted vendors. So that's our commitment to quality as a brand, especially as you mentioned for supplements.
And I think that does say a lot about the Greenies brand in terms of, we're putting these products out there, but then also making sure that we do what we can to provide that reassurance that we are using quality products and that our claims are supported when we talk about VOHC and the National Animal Supplement Council and these different certifications to say, yeah, we're making sure we can back up what we're putting out here.
And that's really important to us because, we all have pets, right? It's not just the people that we're providing these diets for. We all have pets and they're all eating these diets as well. So we want to make sure that, everything that we're putting out is of the highest quality. It's not just about our pets, but it's about everybody, right? But including our own pets and making sure that they're as healthy as possible and getting the safest and most nutritious products they can.
And need to remember that we keep talking about the formulation towards towards science-backed outcomes.
Yeah.
But the other aspect of having quality ingredients is absolutely important, throughout the whole process of development of a product. So that commitment to quality is certainly something that Greenies is about.
Well, I love the idea of having another diet option out there to talk to pet owners about and to feel comfortable in what they're feeding their pets. So thank you both so much for coming on the podcast and for explaining the diet so that we're all familiar with it. Anything else you want to share with us while we're here?
No, thank you very much for this opportunity and great conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much. And, just as a reminder, all the diets and the treats and And the supplements we've talked about are also all natural, which is kind of that backbone of Greenies, aside from the science backed. So they're all natural with added vitamins and minerals. So it's something that you can feel really comfortable and glad to be able to provide to your pet, anything within the line.
Well, thank you so much. I'm really
Thank
looking
you.
forward to, my pleasure. I'm looking forward to, seeing this launch, and I really can't wait to go try some of these toppers. I just remember I used to love that product so much. I wish I could remember what it was.
You don't need to remember what it was, because now you'll have your new favorite.
Exactly. I will report back. I'm sure it will go over really well.
Good. We'll be glad to hear about it.
All right, one more over-the-counter option out there from a company that we are familiar with and maybe have a comfort level with. Thank you so much to Greenies for making this episode possible. Thank you to Drs. Bierer and Panasevich for joining me to learn more. I can't wait to try some of these toppers on Mr. Wrigley's food. And of course, thank you to all of you listeners out there for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts so other veterinary professionals like you can find us and some of the great content that we put out there. For more episodes like this, click on the Education tab on the VetFolio website. As always, we'd love to hear your input on this talk, as well as ideas for topics you'd like to hear from us in the future. Feel free to reach out to me at dvm@vetfolio.com. You can also visit my Facebook page at Dr. Cassi DVM, and you can find me on LinkedIn. And remember, if one animal is better off because of you today, it's a great day.